Lesson International Organization Class Plus 2. United Nations was established on 24th October 1945 to enforce law, security, economic development, social progress, human rights and better living standard. Next topic is related to the aims of the UN Charter of 1945. First, to maintain and preserve international peace and security. Second, to develop friendly relations and harmony among the countries. Third, to grant equal rights and harmony among the countries. Number 4, to solve economic, social, cultural and humanitarian problems through international cooperation. Number 5, to promote respect for human rights, dignity and freedom. Number 6, not to intervene in the matters which are directly related with the domestic jurisdiction of any country. Next topic is main organs or principal organs of UN. First, General Assembly. Second, Security Council. Third, Economic and Social Council. Fourth, Trustship Council. Fifth, International Court of Justice. Sixth, Secretariat. First organ is General Assembly. The General Assembly is the main organ of United Nations. All the members of the United Nations are the members of the General Assembly. Each member has one vote in the General Assembly. It is the general policy making body of UN. It meets only once in a year in New York from September to December. It elects and expels the members to and from UN by a two-third majority. Next one, functions of UN General Assembly. Number 1, it elects the 10 non-permanent members of the Security Council. Number 2, it elects the members of Economic and Social Council. Number 3, it elects the judges of International Court of Justice. Number 4, it elects the Secretary General of UN. And number 5, it receives and considers the reports of other organs of the UN. Next is Security Council. The Security Council is an important organ of United Nations, which is mainly responsible for ensuring peace in the world. The Security Council consists of 15 members, of which 5 are permanent: US, UK, France, China and Russia. These 5 permanent members enjoy veto power. 10 members are non-permanent. These non-permanent members are elected by the General Assembly for a period of 2 years. Next topic is functions of Security Council. Number 1, Security Council is responsible to establish peace in the world. Number 2, it also elects the judges of International Court of Justice along with the General Assembly. Number 3, it settles the disputes among the countries of the world. Number 4, it can take military actions against any state that threatens the security of the world. Number 5, it also plans for the establishment of a system to regulate armaments. Next organ is Economic and Social Council. It consists of 54 members elected by the General Assembly for 3 years term. Its main function is to take steps for the human beings to get the basic necessities of food and shelter. Next organ is Trustship Council. After the Second World War, many countries were kept under the UN as a trustee for looking after the administration. This council looked after the administration of those countries. This organ of UN was suspended on 11th November 1994 with the independence of Palau, the last UN trust territory. The 5 permanent members of the Security Council are the members of the Trustship Council. The headquarters of the Trustship Council is in New York. Next organ of UN is International Court of Justice. International Court of Justice is the judiciary of the UN. It consists of 15 judges who were elected for 9 years by General Assembly and Security Council. It solves the disputes among the states. It is based in Hague. Next organ of UN is Secretariat. The Secretariat is made up of an international staff working at UN headquarters in New York. Its main function is to prevent conflicts or promote peaceful settlement of disputes between countries. Next is Secretary General. Secretary General acts as a diplomat, advocate, civil servant and CEO. The present Secretary General is Ban Ki-moon from South Korea. He is the 8th as well as 9th Secretary General of UN. He is the first Asian to hold the post since 1971. Next topic is contribution of the UN for world peace. Number 1. UN intervened in Indo-Pak Wars of 1947 and 1965 and brought about ceasefire in Kashmir. Number 2. It solved the Suez Canal crisis between England and Egypt. Number 3. In 1993, UN sent its forces to Somalia, Cyprus, Cambodia, Siberia, Rwanda and Uganda for maintaining peace. Fourth one, in 1994, the UN deployed its peacekeeping forces in South Korea also. Number 5, in 2003, when US attacked Iraq without the sanctions of UN, this action of US was opposed and criticized by all the nations of the world. Number 6. It has organized summits to check the production of dangerous atomic weapons from time to time. Next topic is role of India in United Nations. Number 1. India, a charter member of UN. India is a charter member of UN and founder members are always considered to be more responsible and active. Number 2. Expansion of UN. India has worked sincerely for increasing the membership of UN. India gave recognition to Communist China in 1949. With India's efforts, Bhutan and Bangladesh got the membership of UN. India's latest move is to secure the membership of UN. Third point, India's role in finding solution to economic and social problems. There cannot be peace in the world unless we solve the economic and social problems. Keeping this in mind, India has been consistently taking part in the activities of UN agencies like ILO, UNESCO, UNICEF and WHO. Fourth one, India's place in UN. India has been holding important posts and portfolios in various agencies of UN. In 1952, Mrs. Vijayalakshmi Pandit was elected as the President of the UN General Assembly. In 1956, Dr. Radhakrishnan was elected as the Chairman of UNESCO. Dr. Nagendra Singh has been acting as the judge at International Court of Justice since 1973. In 1985, he was appointed as the Chief Justice also. R.S. Pathak became the judge of International Court of Justice in 1988. Fifth point, restructuring the UN Security Council. India has raised the question of restructuring Security Council. Addressing the General Assembly on September 26, 1998, Prime Minister Atal Bihari Vajpayee proposed induction of fresh blood to the Security Council, so to make it more representative of the membership of the UN. Mr. Vajpayee also put India's claim for a permanent seat in the Security Council. Now, Prime Minister Narendra Modi also put India's claim for a permanent seat in the Security Council. Next topic is related to the criteria for the inclusion of new permanent and non-permanent members of the Security Council. The criteria is as: number 1, a new member should be a major economic power. Number 2, a new member should be a major military power. Number 3, a new member should be a substantial contributor to the UN budget. Number 4, a new member should be a nation that respects democracy and human rights. Number 5, a new member should be a big nation in terms of its population. Now the question arises, on what basis India claim a seat in the Security Council? India fulfilled all the terms and conditions required to be a member of Security Council. Number 1, India is the second most populous country in the world. Number 2, India is the world's largest democracy. Number 3, India has emerged as a potential economic power. Number 4, India has emerged as a strong military power. Number 5, India has also made regular financial contributions to the UN. Number 6, India has participated in all the initiatives of the UN. Number 7, India's role in the UN peacekeeping efforts is a long and substantial one. For this, the main problem is that some countries do not want India to be a permanent member of the Security Council. Some countries like China, UK, Pakistan question India's inclusion in the UN Security Council as a permanent member. Neighboring countries like Pakistan, with which India has troubled relations, is reluctant to see India become a permanent veto member of the Security Council. Not only this, some countries like UK and China also concerned about India's nuclear weapon capabilities. Others think that India's difficulties with Pakistan will make India ineffective as a permanent member. Yet, others feel that if India is included, then other emerging powers will have to be accommodated, such as Brazil, Germany, Japan, and South Africa, whom they oppose. Besides, there are those like US, France, who feel Africa and South America must be represented in any expansion of the permanent membership. Next topic is related to the India's concern regarding the composition of the Security Council. One of India's major concern has been the composition of the Security Council, which has remained largely static, while the UN General Assembly membership has expanded considerably. Second, India considered that this has harmed the representative character of the Security Council. Third one, India also supports that developing countries as the members of the General Assembly should also have a role in shaping the decisions in the Security Council which affect them. Besides, India argues an increase in the number of both permanent and non-permanent members because the success of the Security Council's action depends upon the political support of the international community. Next topic is related to the reforms suggested in the Security Council. Number 1. The membership of the Security Council should be increased. More representation should be given to the Afro-Asian and Latin American developing countries. Number 2. Permanent membership of the Security Council should be increased. A resolution moved by India seeking equitable representation on an increase in the membership of the Security Council was adopted by the General Assembly in December 1992. Number 3. India, Germany, Japan, Brazil and Nigeria should be made permanent members of the Security Council. Fourth, veto power should be scrapped or it should be restricted. Last, fifth one, the voting rules of the Security Council should be changed. All the decisions should be taken by a concurrent vote of the majority of the permanent members and a majority of the non-permanent members. Now the question is, why a demand for reforms in the Security Council is being made? The Security Council is the most important and most powerful organ of UN. It is the executive of UN. It is responsible for the maintenance of world peace and order. Nowadays, a demand for the reforms in the Security Council is being made. The main causes are, number 1, at its inception, the UN had 51 founder member countries, mostly from Europe and North America. At present, it consists of 193 members. With the inclusion of new Asian, African and Middle East countries, need is felt to reform the Security Council. Number 2, it is said that 5 permanent members of the Security Council control the UN. Third one, the veto power given to the 5 permanent members is a big obstacle in handling so many issues. Any permanent member can reject any issue of the Security Council. These 5 permanent members may do anything and UN cannot take any action against them. The power of veto makes these 5 big countries autocratic and dictatorial. Fourth point, the Security Council is a small body and it represents not the whole world. Hence the demand is for reforms is being made. Next, I want to discuss with you the advantages or need to have international organization in the world. Number 1, international organizations are helpful to stop wars. Number 2, international organizations also establish law and order. Number 3, international organizations are helpful for solving the problems which are not solved by a nation. Number 4, international organizations help the member states to solve their problems peacefully. Fifth, international organizations help the countries to achieve cooperation and better living conditions through its agencies. Sixth, international organizations are the largest organizations in terms of members and resources. These pics are showing the importance of international organization in the world. Next topic is related to the various methods used by the United Nations to achieve its aims. Number 1, peace operation. This signifies the use of diplomatic means to pursue parties of conflict, to cease hostilities, and to negotiate a peaceful settlement of their disputes. Number 2, preventive diplomacy. It is the action to prevent raising of disputes among nations. Number 3, military action. In the failure of peacemaking efforts, the UN may use military action to deal with a conflict. Fourth, disarmament. The UN also used the method of disarmament to eliminate the weapons of mass destruction. Fifth, economic and social development. Under the economic and social developmental methods, the UN greatly helped in promoting the well-being of millions of people throughout the world. Next topic is veto power. Veto power is enjoyed by the 5 permanent countries of the Security Council. These 5 countries are UK, US, France, Russia and China. Actually, the veto power is a special power of negative nature enjoyed by the 5 permanent members of the Security Council. In taking decisions, the Security Council proceeds by voting. Permanent members can vote in negative manner to stall the decision. Now the question arises, should veto power be abolished or modified? There has been a move to abolish or modify the veto system. But at the same time, the world may not be ready for such a radical step, because without the veto power, there is a danger that the great powers would lose interest in the world body. And without their support and involvement, the world body would be ineffective. Now, I am going to discuss with you the various agencies of UN. Number 1, International Atomic Energy Agency. This agency was established in 1957 with the aim of implementing the proposal of US President Dwight D. Eisenhower, Atoms for Peace. The main objectives of IAEA are: Number 1, to promote the peaceful use of nuclear energy and prevent its use for military purpose. Number 2, this agency regularly inspects nuclear facilities all over the world to ensure that civilian reactors are not being used for military purposes. Total member countries of International Atomic Energy Agency is 144. Its headquarters is in Vienna in Austria. Agency of UN is World Trade Organization. The World Trade Organization is an international organization which was set up in 1995. It is the successor of the GATT, General Agreement on Trade and Tariffs. The main aim of WTO is to set up the rules for global trade and evaluate the trading policies. In WTO, all decisions are taken unanimously, but the major economic powers like US, EU and Japan have monopolized WTO mechanism to their interest. Its headquarters is in Geneva in Switzerland. Next agency of UN is World Bank. The World Bank was created with the aim of providing financial assistance to the developing countries. Its main areas of functioning are: Number 1, human development. Number 2, rural development. Number 3, environmental protection. Number 4, infrastructure. Number 5, governance. Its headquarters is in Washington in US. Next agency of UN is International Monetary Fund. It is an international organization which commands all those financial institutions and legislations that acts at the international level. The International Monetary Fund has 188 members, but only top 10 countries have more than 50% of the votes. These countries are known as G8 members: US, Japan, Germany, France, Italy, Canada, UK and Russia. Other 2 members are Saudi Arabia and China. The headquarters of IMF is at Washington in US. Being the superpower, US has maximum number of votes, that is 17.5%. Last topic is on Human Rights Watch. It is also an international NGO involved in research and advocacy of human rights set up in US. Its main functions are: number 1, to draw the media's attention to human rights abuses. Number 2, to build international coalitions like the Campaigns to End Land Mines. Number 3, to stop the use of child soldiers. Number 4, lastly, to establish the International Criminal Court. Its headquarters is in New York.